Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Thanks for joining me here on Dead on Dave Productions. This is your daily 5-minute focus. And, if you know the show by now, you know it is rarely 5 minutes, nor is it focused. But I will do my best to keep it formatted well for you today, because I know the last few days we've been going kind of crazy and overboard with the punk stuff. So I'm going to try and keep this short and sweet. There will be no punk today, by the way, so... A lot of people have been asking my opinions on the other wrestling promotions because I mainly talk about WWE. And there's a reason for that. And that's because I feel that WWE is the most well-rounded of all the promotions. And I know a lot of people's heads are fucking exploding right now that I just said that. But I wanted to lead with that statement because when I go through the other promotions, I could tie this up nicely and tell you exactly why I believe what I believe. Now, I've never claimed to be an expert on wrestling. I've been around wrestling. I went to wrestling school for a whole matter of 2 weeks before I joined the Army. I've always been a fan. I love wrestling. I love the industry. I've known a lot of wrestlers, but I am not an expert. I am wrong quite often, but it's okay. I'm passionate. I love this sport, and I'll continue to love it. That's what I do. So my opinions are just that. They're just opinions. So when we have disagreements, there's nothing wrong with that. And that's why I have no problem with having you guys on my show. Whenever you have something to say, you're more than welcome to come on. Just like Ed Crowley did this past weekend, and he did a phenomenal job. So, it's just kind of how I do things. Now, am I going to put every schmuck on? Hell no, because most of you guys are fucking nuts and you can't talk anyway. But if you can talk and you really want to get your points out there and your opinions, this is the place to do that. This is that type of channel. It's an interactive channel. It's why I do shows like Creators Corner. It's why I do that. But getting on to the matter at hand, sorry I kind of went off topic for a second, which I'm prone to doing. I'm going to talk about the other companies for a moment. I'm going to go through the 4 main next best options, I'll call them. And we'll start with TNA because that arguably is number 2 to the throne, even though it's not. Here's the thing about TNA. I fell in love with it in 2005, 2004, 2006, when they had young studs that were tearing down the house, and even when they weren't having epic matches that were just like constant. The matches were always solid. The technical wrestling was there. The chain wrestling was there. You had a mid-card of guys like Petey Williams and Chris Sabin and, even AJ Styles before he really popped. Samoa Joe. When Jeff Hardy came in there, he had some great matches. Sean Waltman wrestled there for a brief period of time. There's a lot of good guys that were having just good matches consistently. And it was a lot of fun to watch because you didn't know what you were going to get. And they had different elements, with the Abyss angles, the hardcore stuff, the Monsters balls, all of that. It was fun to watch. The only things I didn't care about TNA back in those days was the main guys, the title picture that was seemingly always involving Jeff Jarrett, and Vince Russo getting involved was stupid, and things like that. Then around 2007-ish, maybe late 2006, things kind of started taking a different angle, and all these older guys from the glory days of WWE and WCW started coming in. Your Hogans, your Bischoffs, your Halls, your Nashes, the Main Event Mafia, which I hated. Kurt Angle. I don't feel Kurt Angle did anywhere near for TNA what they expected him to do, and even more so what people claim Kurt Angle has done for TNA. He hasn't done that much. Ratings are terrible, and Kurt Angle was the type of name that everybody figured if you get a Kurt Angle, TNA is going to pop. Well, that didn't happen because TNA has bad management. They have people who don't. It's like early days of WCW. You had people who just don't know the wrestling industry running the show, or guys who are well past their prime and ideas are constantly repetitive, i.e. Eric Bischoff and Vince Russo. They only have 2 or 3 tricks and they like to use them over and over. So that's why TNA has never caught an audience. And the product now Now you have older versions of AJ, well, not AJ Styles anymore because he's gone, but Samoa Joe and guys like Rude, and Bobby Roode and Lashley and all these. Now we have older versions of these guys and bringing in other people from the WWE. It's just not working, and the product is stale. It seems repetitive. It seems to always be getting beat to the punch by WWE. And so they're constantly being called, hey, you're just watching, it's WWE Light. And that's the worst thing TNA could be called. And that's what it's called often. It is looked at as WWE Light. They tried to placate the fans by bringing back the six-sided ring, only to find nobody really missed the six-sided ring. Their women wrestlers cannot work in a six-sided ring, and a lot of the other guys seem disjointed and not really understanding how to best work it. The six-sided ring worked with guys when they were in their prime, like the Fallen One, the Fallen Angel, Daniels and stuff, and Kazarian, and when he was young, and fucking all of these guys. They worked the six-sided ring well. Now they're not as young as they were. They're not those same performers, and you have guys who are your older guys that you brought in. They're used to a different style, and they can't work the six-sided ring as well. So it's been a failure. So that's where I am on TNA. I just don't feel that they'll ever get it, and this new TV deal does not make sense. And it's kind of just weird. Let's talk next about the promotion that everybody seems to hype up, that seems to be everyone's favorite. The wrestlers, the wrestling fans, the hardcore wrestling fans. Oh, it's all about Ring of Honor. Ring of Honor is kind of in the same boat in a lot of respects. Ring of Honor was great in 2006 and 2005 when you had the CM Punks, when you had Samoa Joe. And it was a stomping ground before you went to WWE or TNA, because arguably TNA was bigger then than it is now. And Ring of Honor was that place where these young guys were just tearing the fucking house down. Now you have lesser caliber wrestlers in Ring of Honor, but they still go out and every match they just try to do these over-the-top spectaculars with 15 spots, big spots in every match. It gets boring and repetitive, and you'll notice in a lot of the other promotions, I'm not going to use a lot of wrestlers' names. It's because it kind of blends together. The wrestlers all blend together. There's no personalities that really hit me. And anybody who does stand out, they're using it as just a jumping off point to get to WWE, it seems. It's just very strange to me. Ring of Honor could be something. It's run by the right people. But it just seems like you have to have a little bit of balance in your matches. You have to have the chain wrestling technical great matches that bring people back in. You can't always be living on that endorphin rush of the spot monkey. And I don't like using that term. I don't want to call Ring of Honor just spot monkeys. But they do tend to go to those type of matches constantly. And some people love that. And that's fine. But it's not a promotion that's ever going to be a challenger to the throne because there's no balance. Let's talk about Lucha. Lucha has potential. My problem with Lucha is the biggest issue is the way they film. And that seems to, a lot of people are like, oh, I love how gritty it is, and I love that it's kind of a TV show. And that part I can kind of deal with. I hate the backseat stuff with Conan and the weird mafia-related things that they kind of do. I mean, it's like cartel, but whatever. It's just kind of weird. But it's the way they film their matches. If you notice, if you watch their matches, they film everything really close up. Like everything super, super close up. And it's WWE does close-ups too, but Lucha films too close. And if you're really paying attention, you could tell they're not you should never be able to tell they're not making contact ever. You should not be able to tell that they're whiffing on everything, and you shouldn't be able to tell how little impact moves are having. The whole magic of wrestling is we know that it's fake, but it looks real enough to suck us in anyway. That's the magic of wrestling. That's why we come back, because there's always that possibility of, oh, wow, man, these guys are superhuman. Look at the punishment they're taking. I don't get that with Lucha because you can see every sloppy technical mistake that wrestlers, even good wrestlers, as much as I don't like Chavo Guerrero as a person, I always had respect for him as a performer. And even him, you can see the holes because the way they film. Robert Rodriguez knows how to produce gritty, edgy stories. And Mark Burnett, he's been doing this forever. He knows how to do reality stuff very well. So putting them together, once they figure out the production values of how it should be for wrestling, I think Lucha could potentially be the number 2. They got a lot of talent down there, and John Morrison and Ezekiel Jackson, and even I feel they focus too much on Chavo, but he's got the name heritage thing going on, and Conan's role is kind of funny. I'm going to bring in the Mexicanos for you. It's kind of funny. There's something there. I just don't. They have to get out of their own way and allow the product to grow properly. We'll see what happens with them. This leaves me with the one promotion I haven't talked about yet, and this is the place I go when I want the most balanced wrestling, but I know I'm not going to get anything else, and it's New Japan. New Japan Pro Wrestling still consistently has the best performers from around the world that go there on a weekly, monthly basis. Everybody still goes to New Japan. If you're not locked into WWE, everybody still travels to New Japan. This is the place that if you want to watch a hodgepodge of where everybody goes, you'll watch New Japan Pro Wrestling. It's just, I don't feel like there's any good storyline development. It just seems like everybody's just having matches just to have matches. And that's the feeling I get because that's kind of how I watch them. I don't watch actual shows. If there's even actual shows, I just watch stuff online. I watch individual matches. So if New Japan Pro Wrestling can get a premier product on television, I feel that in American television, I feel that could be something, but it never will because they don't care about that. They succeed in their realm in Japan and they do their thing, and they're fine being a breeding ground for the new and the legends of wrestling. So I like that. Now this all leads me to WWE and why I'm still a WWE guy after all this time, because say what you want, criticize them about how they missed the mark, criticize them about backstage politics, which, by the way, every fucking promotion, every corporation has these type of fucking things. So I feel that's a weak argument anyway. It's a weak argument to hate WWE, I should say. Everybody does shady stuff or whatever, and the things that Punk said got people riled up. It's like, oh, it's disgusting. Look, if everything Punk said is 100% accurate, and this is the one thing I want to touch on Punk today, if everything he said is 100% accurate, then the industry, not just WWE, the industry needs to be burned to the ground and rebuilt or done forever because it's disgusting. But we know that, thinking logically, that possibly CM Punk may have gone a little bit into the exaggeration zone on some of it, and that's okay. He's a little bit jilted. He's a little bit of a jilted lover. And that's all I was trying to say with, I never thought what Punk was saying was a bad thing. What I was saying was I felt he came off a bit whiny, which he did. And that's okay. Jesus. So anyway, WWE is the one place, for all of its flaws, that you still have a balance of so many things. You still get your epic moments. You get epic matches from guys like Dolph Ziggler. Look at the fucking pay-per-view that we just had. Look at Survivor Series main event. Look at that match. It had everything you want as a wrestling fan in it. It had good wrestling. It had great spots. There were some technical aspects, and there was a huge surprise pop at the end. This is what you want, and WWE does deliver that on occasion, at least enough to keep us coming back. They also have other things. They have some divas like Paige who can wrestle. They have up-and-comers that are down in NXT that are waiting to come up, which has guys like me salivating for Finn Balor and fucking Hideo Itami and Charlotte. And I mean, all of these guys, of course, Kevin Steen, whatever his new name is, all these guys that are coming up, I'm salivating because they are going to be mixing with the Ambroses, the Wyatt. And here's the thing. Say what you want about mismanagement of things. Yes, they still have not figured out exactly how to get Wyatt over properly. But when they do, they have a diamond there. They just have to figure out how to use them right. And it'll happen. It's happening with Ziggler. Ziggler's being used right for the first time. Arguably, he's being used correctly for the first time in his career. And for whatever reason, it took this long a time. It is what it is. The point is, WWE still has the best mix of everything that you want to see, even though there's a lot of fucking kiddie stuff and the PG and all the other stuff people whine about. Yeah, that's there. But it's still the best mix of what you want to see. It just is. Man, even if you want to really hate on them and say, oh, fucking Raw and SmackDown, same old shit, they still have something that's undeniably good, and that's NXT. If WWE was just being based on NXT alone, you have nothing to complain about. Because NXT is the best, and I've said it before and I'll say it again. It is the best week in, week out wrestling program on television is NXT. It is so goddamn good. It is really, really good. These kids that are down there right now that are getting ready to come up, whew, the Sami Zayns, the Adrian Nevilles, these guys are going to be stars. In what capacity they're going to be used, I have no idea, because are they going to be main event top guys? Maybe not, because guys like Adrian Neville, they're small and, it's hard to get over. Only a few guys. Some small guys, like Shawn Michaels is considered small. Daniel Bryan is tiny, and he's the exception to the rule. So it is what it is, and there's a lot of goodness coming. The point is, it's the best mix all around. And I hope that this has kind of cleared up a little bit of what I think about the other promotions and why I've stuck consistently with WWE. I call them out when they need to be called out, and I will continue to do so. You guys want to discuss any of the other promotions? Did I hit the mark? Did I miss the mark? Let me know. You guys can come on and defend your favorite promotion right here. We can get more in depth. We can talk about the individual wrestlers. We could do all of that. I don't mind it. Other than that, make sure you like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. And that's all I got for today. Thanks for joining me on today's 5-Minute Focus, and join me tomorrow for another. I'm out. Thank you guys. Peace.